Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Laura and I like to craft stuff. I am choosing to work out of this book again, 1000 Great Quilt Blocks, and I want to do the Balkan Puzzle. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I try to post every other Tuesdays, if you want to like and subscribe, join me in quilting and stuff. Alright, let's get into it. So I went out and got these fabrics because I had been planning on making a quilt from these colors. These colors kind of match a friend of mine's aesthetics, and so I want to make her a quilt. I haven't made her one yet. So I finally went out and got fabrics. There are 3 yards of each of these. This one is Bikini Martini by Natalie Keatyn. This one is, oh goodness. This one's by Deborah Edwards and Melanie Samra. And this one, oh goodness, Midnight in the Garden by Sweetfire Road and Moda. I love bee fabric. I've been eyeing bee fabric, but I haven't gotten myself to get any. So these are the fabrics that I'm working with. I'm very excited. I'm thinking block size are probably going to be around 5 inches. But let's take a look at, I hope I showed the right page. Let's take a look at this, this puzzle, this quilt block. So this is the Balkan Puzzle. I might have to go pick up more of the bee fabric because I want the bee fabric to be in the background. I want them to be the white. And then the teal watercolory fabric is going to be the dark triangles. And the yellow is going to be the medium tone. So right off the bat, looking at this, I do see that I could do some flying geese here with the teal and the bumblebee fabric, but my concern is figuring out the math and the sizes. So I'm gonna have to fiddle with that. I think the best thing to do would probably be to start with the half square, or I'm sorry, the flying geese, and then go from there. So yeah. By the way, this book is 1000 Great Quilt Blocks by Maggie McCormick Gordon. I've been using this on and off for a bit, and I still haven't ran out of blocks to try. So yeah, join me along in this journey of trying out a new quilt block, and let's get into it. I should probably start cutting up some fabrics, at least for the test block. I went ahead and cut out the blue fabric at 8.5 inches, and then I did 4.5 inches for the smaller squares. And so I did 4.5 inches for my yellow and bumblebee fabric as well. And then of course here I am laying out how I do my flying geese, which is I lay out 2 of the 4.5 inches squares and then draw a line down the middle, corner to corner. I lay them out on the larger square, that is. I am still getting used to doing flying geese. I'm still not sure if it's faster or easier necessarily, although I did enjoy these because I really enjoyed the blue fabric. I mean, that marbly fabric, man. Anyway, you sew on either side of the line that's drawn, and then you cut down the line that's drawn. And my kitten has zoomies right now, so I apologize. But I am finger pressing those triangles open so I can put another square down. and then draw another line, and then sew on either side of that line. And that's how you get your flying geese. I will say with this project, and it did wind up working better, is that I did draw lines even for my half square triangles, and everything was a lot more precise. So I think I can see why people would do this on a regular basis. And I wanted more practice doing this anyway, so that's why I chose to do it for this project. To each their own. Popping on for a check-in. I've been working on my tester block, and I did try the flying geese, and I think it looks pretty good. Also, I'm obsessed with this blue fabric. Obsessed. It's beautiful. So the flying geese part of it is working out well. But as I was going through that, I was thinking, oh, well, let's be tricky. Let's take a look at this block again. I might be able to sew strips together and then cut diagonally to get this layout. Well, when I was doing the math, I did 4.5, so my sizings are 4.5 basically. I think I did 4.5 squares for these and an 8.5 square for the middle. So I did 4.5-inch strips and sewed them together like this. However, that math was wrong. Luckily, I only cut a few strips, so it's not too much fabric wasted. But the problem is there's a gap because I didn't take into account that if the 4.5 is, there's basically a 1/2 inch in between these two. Because if I had cut them out and done them normally as just half square triangles, there would be this seam allowance here. Although I guess that's not really making any sense either. I don't know. Basically, this is too big. So I'm going to have to cut these up in order and do my half square triangle thing in order to get them to be the same size as these and match up as if they were half square triangles. A part of me is thinking about trying again with smaller strips, and another part of me is like, with everything going on in the world, I kind of just want some normalcy and I guess not trying something new right this moment. And so maybe I'll just do the half square triangle thing for the rest of it. Not for the blue pieces, but for the yellow pieces. So that's where I'm at. I'm thoroughly enjoying the process so far, ultimately. And I think what I'm going to try to do is cut, I just want to make sure the angle is right. Yeah. Is cut these into half square triangles. I think the angle might be slightly off. And that could have also been part of the problem. It's pretty close though. Yeah, so I'm going to cut these into half square triangles and then sew them up and finish my tester block. And then I'll show you the process. So back to work. For the yellow and the bee fabric, I decided to keep to my tried and true after that failed experiment. I do believe it's possible to do it that way. I just was not going to try to fight with it this time. I was trying to be sneaky, didn't work. Anyway, my 4.5 square inch triangles, or I'm sorry, squares, I drew my line down corner to corner diagonally, and then I lined them up and sewed on either side of those that line, corner to corner, with the bee fabric and the yellow fabric together. And then you cut down the middle, which will be in the next clip. I found that this was just easier because I knew how it was going to turn out. And like I said earlier, the line did help tremendously. Will I continue doing that for every project? Probably not. But I knew with my cuts that I really had to be close and needed to be accurate. That was the word. because I didn't have a lot of wiggle room given that I had done the flying geese method for the other half of the block. So I just wasn't used to it, and I was really nervous about trying to size up and then square down. So I decided to just be accurate. And I also think I had these cuts, like half of the bumblebee fabric already cut up into the 4.5-inch squares. So I just decided to keep it at that. There is further trimming that does wind up happening because the way that it aligned up, it just needed to be trimmed further on the final block. We'll get there, I guess. And then here I am ironing those open. And like I said, man, that line, look at how nice. Well, okay, then maybe not that one. That one's a little wonky. But for the most part, looking at them, you really, like, that's pretty darn square. That's pretty darn square. I'm proud of myself, man. So I guess the line drawing down corner to corner does help a little bit. The next step is to sew the 2 half square triangles together with the yellow corners on the same side, if that makes any sense. If you're seeing it, that's, you can see how it's being laid out, but I went through and I sewed them all together. I think I'm measuring that I needed 3-inch strips. That's right. Did I go on to do 3-inch strips to try again? No, I didn't. But if you want to try, supposedly, I guess with a little bit of a seam allowance, maybe 3.5, but it looked like it was 3 inches. Anyway, I sewed those together for all of them, and then I ironed them open, and there's that second part of the quilt. Which was, yeah. I did trim to make sure that all of the sides were even, and I believe that I trimmed down to 3 inches or 3.5 inches wide. I didn't worry about trimming the length just yet, and that's why when the final block is finished, I wind up trimming at that point. But I wanted to make sure that I was more concerned with everything lining up, and there wasn't too much wonkiness with this quilt, really, which was awesome. Like, I definitely need to appreciate that I have grown tremendously in the year that I've been quilting. A little over a year, but basically a year of like steady quilting. I have grown a lot in my abilities, and I'm proud. I should be proud of that. I am proud of that. Okay. I'm going to be proud of that. I'm going to remember to be proud of that. I have come really far, and that's a good thing. So all of the blocks are lined out the same. These blocks are ultimately trimmed down to 7 by 7. So you have the two strips that I had been working on sewn together, and then that is the block, and you just rotate it all the way around to create the Balkan Puzzle pattern. As you can see, one of those blocks is a little bit longer than the rest, and that was why I was trimming things down to 7 by 7, was because when I didn't do that, because I didn't worry about the length of my blocks, I was only trimming the width. It needed to be trimmed down lengthwise as well so that it was all even. But even with that trimming, it didn't really affect the block too much, and I think that's why I'm glad that I did the trimming after it was all sewn together, so that it was just the edges that were trimmed off. I think it worked well. So I did basically a 4 square from here on out for all of the alignments, including the final alignment of the quilt. I just find it easier, and I find it matches the corners better than doing it by strips. I'm just not confident that I am accurate enough to be able to just lay out the strips and then sew the strips together and have everything line up. I find that I have a much more accurate lineup if I do it 4 square first. The final layout was 4 across by 5 down, which always gives a nice decent quilt size. I don't think I measured no, I haven't measured the final layout, but I know by folding it that it's pretty darn even. And I think when I do finally go to get this quilted or quilt it myself, I'm going to put a border around it. But I just didn't have the time or energy to do that just yet. Here it is, the final layout. I would like to say in person that yellow doesn't wash out as much as it is on screen. But I love the layout. I really like this quilt quite a lot. I think I might do it again, actually. But I say that about every pattern. Thank you so much again for joining me in another quilting video and joining me in my channel. Things have gotten a little intense in my life right now, and so it's been a little bit difficult for me to focus on quilting. I have some ideas of videos that are going to come that might not be a full quilt block video, but that doesn't mean that I'm done quilting. I just kind of need to take a moment for myself. So I also want to give you a heads up that I'm going to try my best to get videos out to you, but it may not be every other Tuesday either. I just need to, some time to focus on my own mental health. So I appreciate you guys. I will, of course, keep you updated, and I'm not going to forget about this channel. So there will be more to come. I just need a little pause. I hope you all are doing well and taking care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, thank you. Bye.